are.
We can get the
Yeah, but
details
I don't
later.
know. I have all the info on iReport, but I don't have it. I haven't read it yet.
Well, let me back up. I got you on live,
How about the Hillsdale Terrace?
and I'm just going to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
Who are you?
My name is Jim Roberts. I've been a low-income housing advocate since 2002. Actually, before that, I started with the old Danmore, testified at the city hall to preserve it.
I'm
Um,
having trouble hearing. Let's move up a little bit away from the street. Old what?
what was the old Danmore Hotel?
Danmore.
That was when I first became involved because I lived there at the time,
Okay.
and it was a church-owned building um, that the church wanted permission from the city to tear it down, and they had built the Alder House as a replacement, which was the first low-income housing built for quote unquote the low-income workers in America in 20 years. Uh, the previous one had been built in San Diego without government funding. That was built by the First Presbyterian Church. St. James followed the model, took their parking lot and built it also. It was built as a model for the nation on how to solve the problem of people having a place to live who work in major metropolitan areas in America, whether it be a busboy, a dishwasher, or whatever, who
And
didn't.
this was where?
The Alder House was built on Southwest 13th in Alder.
And when was this?
That was built about 20 years ago,
Okay. Oh, okay.
and it was built as a model for the nation. I asked Mr. Milne, who was the chief engine behind this. In fact, the library in the Alder House is dedicated to him. How many government agencies, whether it be HUD or HAP or any private or semi-private group uh, dedicated to housing for the poor and the low income, had ever crossed that threshold to see what you could do for the limited amount of money they had and the 132 units of housing they built? He said, not one. And it was covered extensively in the Oregonian from the foundation being laid until it was complete and open.
Not one what?
Not one group came to look at this model for the nation.
Okay, so how much money was spent to?
To build it, 4.2 million for 132 units.
Okay.
Uh, uh, the joke was it was too much bang for the buck for them to be interested. Um,
So they were successful, but nobody paid attention.
and nobody paid attention.
Why is that?
Well, I hesitate to say this, but my U.S. Marine
We
Corps buddy,
love to speculate.
my my U.S. Marine Corps buddy calls them quote unquote poverty whores. Um, I would never be so harsh with my words, but that's what he calls it.
So, in other words, there's a reason things are staying the same.
Yes.
That's that, that's what we're starting to suspect too, because people are getting rich off keeping people houseless. I've noticed.
Well, they have a vested interest in just keeping things the way they are,
Status quo.
the status quo. Hillsdale Terrace now, which is the latest project of Home Forward, which uh, we like to call Home Throward or Home Perverse. Uh, the project is at Hillsdale Terrace, 6.5 acres of publicly owned land. They are building 122 units of low-income housing for first estimated cost $47 million.
Now that's exactly the same price as the Bud Clark building, which housed what, 130?
I have the paperwork on the Bud Clark, but I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I mean that's uncanny.
Yeah.
So okay, so again, we're talking 2, 3, 400,000 for a unit
Yes.
for a person. Yeah.
Yes.
Lucky person.
Yeah, and it's you have to realize that there were 60 bedroom apartments there to begin with, in 8 two-story cinder block buildings. Um, they had a grant from HUD called the Hope Six funds. They've used the Hope Six funds as seed money to do their travesty with the New Columbia, with Iris Court Apartments, now called Humboldt Gardens, and now this is the third time. 18.5 million for, actually those funds are to rehab or renovate extremely rundown housing in the United States, but they use a social loophole of like in the New Columbia, to mix different income levels because the values of the richer are supposed to rub off on the poor.
Where does that because come from? Where do you know that that's the mentality?
Because of their own press releases.
They actually said this.
Yes.
Okay. And whose press release?
Well, this information came from the Oregonian.
Okay.
This was a concerted effort.
I need to find out. Give me a second. I want to check. I'll be right back.
Okay. I don't.
I'm looking to see if anybody wants to. Well, no. It's okay. Why don't we just say that this is off the top of your head, and we're doing the best we can, and we can come back and you see. Here's the thing. I'm exhausted. I've been here all night,
Yeah, so
and I'm not
tomorrow
letting
night,
you
dude.
go away. So I'm giving a partial interview so that I can like entice you to come back when I'm like with it. So
Okay.
I just wanted our viewers to be able to see why I got so excited, what I wanted to interview you about. You were talking about huge amounts of money going into these projects to create housing for people, where they have solutions, but they tear those down in favor of the big fancy ordeal that houses a very small number of people for a lot of money. And we've been saying, sounds like somebody's got a sister who's a contractor and they're getting some kickbacks or something is going on, because why would you pay that much money? Here's another example. The Portland Loo costs like $80,000 a piece for 5 of them. But we have over here all these public restrooms that are shut down. They're not 24 hours. And then of course, houseless people travel, go over to the Loo, and if there's anything wrong, they're locked. So they're still messed around. And why is this happening? Why are we spending these huge amounts of money for half solutions?
That's true. There are literally thousands of missing units of housing in our community
What do you mean missing units of
that
housing?
should have been built for the amount of money spent. For example, in the city of Portland last year, 800 and some units of housing were built privately, 20 some projects. The average cost was a little over $100,000 per unit. On that basis alone, what they have spent on projects, the Villa, 180 million total cost, Iris Court, and now Hillsdale Terrace, there are literally thousands of missing units of housing for the total cost of these projects. And not even taking into consideration, to begin with, what they tore down with some rehab would have been perfectly livable.
Hey, so I'm very, very excited about this because, okay, you, I don't, all I do is I serve coffee, I stay up, I talk to people, I watch to, kind of look out, try to make sure people don't have things stolen. We're protesting out here because we feel like City Hall has apparently not had good results from being able to sweep the problem under the rug by putting people in unsafe, dark corners, because somehow, 17 years after they started making their 10 years plans to end homelessness, last year we had an increase of 30%. So we're bringing it to them so they can see, that we are here. There are houseless people. There are people who have homes who are standing in solidarity with them because you're easily picked off, by the system if you don't have your basics needs met. So we're trying to be together, but we need them to see this and to understand that, we're not going to forget about this issue. This is enough is enough. And so they're not trying. And it's not just that they have tried and failed. It's that they're trying not to try at this point. There's money.
Yes. Now, a short while ago, I'm going to estimate within the last 6 months, the Oregonian reported that the Portland Housing Bureau, which is a relatively new agency here in City Hall, headed by City Commissioner
Fitch,
who
the one we're trying to get recalled.
Who was on the board of the Housing Authority in 2002 when the Villa fiasco started. And I call it a fiasco because, like I say, there are so many missing units of housing that should have been built, especially when Mr. Emmett of Emmett International, who they gave 18 of the 201 buildings to, said to the Oregonian, and he was quoted in the Oregonian, "They are in excellent condition. I wish I could have more." He recycled them, hauled them to Clackamas, and recycled them as low-income housing. The Housing Bureau, which is a relatively new thing, if I remember right, sits now on $75 million. And the commissioner was quoted as saying, it's good to have this money in case something comes up. We'll be ready. My first thought was, have you ever thought of homelessness? It's up right now.
Yeah.
And
people are dying. That's an emergency.
And think of all the Oregonians that could, general contractors and all their employees that could use that money right now building these projects. Last year in Portland, I'll repeat myself, 800 and some apartments were built at a cost of a little over $100,000 per unit. So 75 million, say that should be 750 apartments that could be built right now. What are they sitting on? What are they waiting for?
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so my schedule for Vigil TV is every odd night, unless I'm sick, but that's rare. For 4.5 months, I've missed 4 of these days. Every odd night. So come here tomorrow night at about 9 and stay until 6, 7, 8. It just depends how much I can take. Sometimes I get really tired and I try to leave early. I used to stay till 8 every time, but I've been getting tired lately. So, but see, what I do is I can make arrangements to be here so that we can talk again, because this is like, right now I want to make you into my little TV series. Well, like more with this guy.
Can you
tell me your name again?
Jim Roberts.
Jim. More with Jim. Interview with Jim. Part 1.
But why don't you, if you like, to come sit at my kitchen table. I just live up by the Mac Club, and I'll just haul out the boxes. You can take what you want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you mind coming down here? Because
no,
I'm going to be doing, double duty. I'm going to be watching over like I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
And it just helps to have somebody awake, because you can't get a peaceful night's sleep thinking that that you are just any minute somebody could just like step on your head.
Right.
I mean, who knows?
Right. Exactly.
You're on the sidewalk.
Exactly. Or take what little possessions you have.
Right. So,
What's your name?
My name's Mary.
Mary.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Nice to meet you. So I'm about to go home, and I really hope that you'll come back tomorrow, and I'm going to give you my phone number so that maybe we could get in touch before then.
Yes. Okay, we could do that.
And talk some more. Yeah.
I got paper in the car.
Okay. Well, let me have you say goodbye to our viewer, which is also, OccupyPortland.org has a thing that says Our Media. and our media is our live stream cameras, and then those folks also pick up people like myself who are doing it,
Mary,
independently.
I've written a prayer for Occupy Portland, but beyond that, I wrote a tribute that's a page long.
Really?
Yes, that I would like to, if I had the opportunity, I'd like
Yes.
to
We
read.
would love that very much. Are you gonna? Do you think we can bring it next
Yes,
time I
can.
see you?
Yes,
Both of them?
Both of
That
them.
would be fantastic. Okay, so we'll be back tomorrow night or the following morning,
Okay.
depending. The following morning is a little risky because I'm still, going to be tired, just like I am right now.
Yeah.
But if you can come back tomorrow night,
But
we
you
can.
don't. But you don't see. You're like, you have the energy because you have.
Oh, I know when I'm
you
not
have-
tracking though. I'm
you-
just like,
You,
woo.
you have a cause that goes beyond oneself,
Yeah.
and it's a tough one, but it shouldn't be a tough one. This is not. Or I like to say, it's not rocket surgery or brain science.
Yeah, it's not rocket surgery. Actually, I'll say no, thank you to the rocket surgery. Maybe brain science, but all right. Okay, well, thank you, Jim, and we'll be hanging out with you more.
Okay.